So I'm Larry Holden. I'm the CEO and president of Global Liver Institute. We're an organization of 501c3. We represent 1.5 billion liver patients around the world. We've been in existence for about 10 years. And our goal and our mission is to serve liver patients and to make sure that they have a voice in the community. I'm a Boy Scout at heart. I come from Colorado, and I always saw myself as a public servant. I did that when I worked in the United States Senate and the House of Representatives for a congressman. My life has really been about being of service. I found this opportunity to be of service to liver patients specifically came about. I have family members with liver disease, and when I saw the opportunity to be of service and to help my family and other liver patients, that was really what drew me to the position. I think advocating for liver patients is the most important thing we do. We do that by raising awareness, public awareness. We do that by communicating with elected officials, both the Food and Drug Administration, with the US Congress, with the World Health Organization around the globe. GLI is built around our councils, and the councils are a group of both funders as well as research institutions, other nonprofits and patient advocacy organizations, and medical societies. And they all come together to serve that community. They're focused around areas like liver cancer, pediatric and rare, and also the MASH/NASH community. So we bring together those communities to look at problems within the field and try and move the needle forward. And we have community-based organizations as well, which are our Liver Action Network members. So we have this network of people that help us look at issues within the field and try and move the ball forward. Taking the information that we're getting from the patients and giving them a voice with the powers, the elected officials, is one of the most important things we do. The stigma for liver patients, as we all know, is quite intense. Many patients are stigmatized by the fact that they think, or the community feels, that liver disease is brought on by personal choices or lifestyle choices. And we know while that is partially the case, the reality is that many liver diseases are brought about by genetic or things out of their control. We know that what that does is it brings on a situation where patients aren't getting the care they need because of that stigma. There's stresses, mental health issues, and at the end of the day, we know that hinders their care. We'd like to make sure that patients, no matter how they come into that pipeline, whether it's choices in lifestyle or whether it's genetics or any other factor, that they have a voice and that they're able to receive the best care they can possibly get. ACLF is quite a condition. The issue is really the fact that there's such a high mortality rate. If we're not addressing that both with the patients and the caregivers, the physicians, if there's not an education process going on, the ability to save those patients is significantly decreased. So it's incumbent upon us to make sure that the patients are aware of the condition, that the physicians are aware, and that all of their options are understood, which includes treatment options, information, and the hope that comes from having a treatment for ACLF. The biggest gaps that we're seeing is information and treatment options. And we really need to bridge those gaps by making sure that there's educational tools for, again, both the patients and the caregivers. The more information we have, the more opportunity we have for patients to survive and to decrease the mortality rate. A3 is one of the most important things that we do. It's our Advanced Advocacy Academy. We find that patients come into the academy and they found out that they have a disease and they don't have a way to advocate for themselves and haven't learned how to tell their story. That's exactly what we do at A3. We show the patients how they can tell their story with elected officials, with government agencies, with each other, and in support groups. By giving the patients a voice and teaching them how to use their voice, we increase their knowledge and we increase the knowledge and understanding of the disease around the world. So we decided to include ACLF and HE in our A3 program for a very specific reason. We know that the number of patients that are affected by this are quite vast. And we know that the education level and the understanding of it was quite low. We saw this as a real gap and an opportunity for us to bring up the knowledge level and really move forward in this area. Collaboration is the key here. Together we're stronger. And that means together with patients, together with physicians, and together with other organizations. When we all work together to find solutions and to educate, then we're able to move the field forward. And at the end of the day, it really comes down to making sure that the patients have as many opportunities as they possibly can to live a good life and to survive. Real life stories are the key. When I go to Washington and I go to a congressman or a senator, I can walk in as an expert and try and tell them about liver and healthcare. And that's valuable, but there's nothing more valuable than an actual patient going in and speaking to somebody about their personal story and telling them about that. When you communicate at that level, that's what really connects. It connects and it really causes the most change. So getting that connection and that change, that really happens from a personal story. Clinical trials are the key. If we don't get patients in clinical trials, we don't get the science, we don't get the care, and we can't help that pipeline which is going to bring about the change that saves their life. Now, we all know that it's tough getting patients in trials for many reasons. There's a lot of barriers. And it's really important that we work with our partners on the for-profit side and we work with the patients to educate and to include the patients in that process. When patients and their voices are included in the trial process, both in design, implementation, and involvement, we have greater success. It's that success that will drive those patients towards a future that's much more bright. I think the most important thing is the collaboration and the education. We need these tools so that we can, similar to our webinar, the more education we can do, the more tools we have to collaborate with those putting on trials so that we can educate the patients and educate the physicians. That's really the key. At the end of the day, we need those patients and we need them in the trials, and the more they know, the better we are at serving them. I think the biggest problem we've seen, and part of the reason we created our academy at Global Liver, is when you have a patient that's very interested and committed but wants to be involved in their care and their advocacy, if they haven't been trained and they're not familiar with the process, if they're not understanding the trial and they're not educated, that puts them at a disadvantage. What we do with A3 is we take that patient and we bring their skill set up to a level that they can actually be really helpful in the trial, both in the design, implementation, and included further on in the trial. The work that we do and the work that you're doing as employees of GENFIT really are the core of service. We know that the work that we do, we're saving lives. And that's what I do every day. And I'm only able to do this because of the hard work of the people at GENFIT and their generosity, but also their hard work in bringing those drugs and devices and things into the marketplace. My hope is that we continue to work together and collaborate, and mostly just to thank you for all the work being done.